When you feel music, there is a partnership.
It's part of my diet. It's vital to my well-being.
For me, it just kind of begins to overtake all parts of my day and life.
It's really about finding my center again. It's about creating space for me and looking after myself.
We're all supremely musical beings. I don't believe there's a single person on this planet who doesn't like music. It resonates within our bodies. It makes us feel different about the world.
It should be, at least at the start, an ongoing understanding of what the notes speak, how they speak to you.
I think in a busy world, when there's so much going on, so much information, that a concert actually can almost be a meditative experience.
I think it's our responsibility to enable people to come and to experience this great art form that we all love so much. And really the challenge is for us to dream up as many different ways to do that as possible.
Music might be a springboard for other thoughts. All sorts of memories and visions or snippets of places you've been. Music can do that. And I think that's a wonderful sort of mental space to be in.
As a player, of course, the first thing you connect with and look for is the sound. This is the beautiful Guadagnini, the Adelaide. It's my job to search and look for and bring out all the colors that it has to offer. I think violin, it's always got the sort of main part. So I guess from the composer's point of view, it's very obvious reason to write violin concertos. Historically, in Baroque times as well, we've got lots and lots of violin concertos. And I think a lot of composers wrote for specific performers and players. And I guess those players sort of influenced and inspired these composers, such as the ones that we've got programmed for 2020. We start off with Grace Clifford, our emerging artist, playing the Tchaikovsky Violin Concerto, followed by myself playing the Brahms Concerto. Fumiaki Miura is playing the Mendelssohn. Pinkas Zuckerman is playing the epic Beethoven Violin Concerto. And finally, James Ennis will be playing the Barber Violin Concerto. And I'm very excited. We're celebrating the art of violin.
In 2020 is the 250th anniversary of Beethoven's birth. We don't really need an excuse to celebrate his music, but if there is one as clear as that, then it's well worth doing. Beethoven was the first composer really to express himself as an individual through symphonic music. Beethoven was undoubtedly a flawed human being, but we all are, so I think that's one of the reasons we relate to him. We can sense his struggle, we can sense his hope. To hear all Beethoven symphonies in a relatively short space of time is a pretty unique opportunity. We hear his optimism, we hear his idealism, and we need those two things more than ever right now.
I've been so delighted to work with the ASO over the last 5 or 6 years. I really believe that I've done some of my best work here in Adelaide, and I'm absolutely thrilled to have been asked to become their creative partner for the next 3 years, to be involved with a whole host of new projects and concerts. Live music has never been more important because it's different. Music sounds different when it's not coming out a phone that you keep in your pocket, you know? It's a really exciting way to build on the work that we've done in the past, but make new and exciting things happen in the future.
As a professional musician, music is my life. It's all I do. It's what I breathe. In 2020, Masters 5 is called Heroic Horns, and it features Richard Strauss's Don Juan and a new concerto written by Paul Dean for Andrew Bain. Don Juan is a very special piece for the horns. Composers love this idea of absolute contrasts, and it makes for a very heroic sound.
A question that we get asked all the time is that why orchestral music? We understand everybody loves music, but why orchestral music, and why is it relevant today? Why is it valid? Why should we care? With the ASO, what we try to constantly do is find a balance between the past and the future.
In 2020, we have 2 concerts at the Festival Theatre called Classical Hits. As the name suggests, all the top of the pops, the best in classical music. I really think of myself as a waiter. You know how a good waiter can make a fantastic meal even better, as they bring it to the table, maybe tell you a little something about the meal, some interesting snippet, and then at the right point they sort of disappear, and that's when the orchestra takes over, because the orchestra is the main meal. That's what the audience is really there for.
There's been a lot of strides at the ASO over the last few years to make sure that that gender balance starts within the organization, and then that permeates within our programming. It's wonderful to see how many women conductors we've been working with. That gives me a lot of personal pride.
For this program, I chose the title of She Speaks because I thought that encapsulated what I believe is the most important element of female composers, which is an opportunity for all of us to hear what it is that they're saying. It's about making sure that both me and everyone who attends gets to hear some of the chamber works by names that we are probably familiar with, such as Clara Schumann and Fanny Hensel, but pieces that haven't crossed our path because they don't get programmed very regularly. One of the works we're going to be hearing is a short work by Australia's first female Doctor of Music, Dr. Ruby Davey. It's very exciting that we're going to be giving breath to one of her chamber works.
We have 3 of the most exciting young female conductors on the international orchestral scene. Gemma New, who's making a splash in the US, Elena Schwartz, who has conducted around Australia, and also Elim Chan, who is known to Adelaide audiences through her work with the Australian Youth Orchestra. We also have 3 very exciting young instrumentalists appearing with the ASO in 2020. Our relationship with Grace Clifford will continue, a relationship that began in 2014. We also have the BBC Young Musician of the Year, the pianist Lauren Zhang, with us, and Japanese violinist Fumiaki Miura.
I met Fumi 5 or 6 years ago. He's sensational. I haven't seen that kind of an evolution of inner thought and sound and musicality. He's one of these that, you put him in your pocket, you know?
You give quite a lot of yourself to the music when you perform and when you learn an instrument, and I think you have to find a space inside yourself to do that. You have to find a connection with your instrument, and then as a performer you find a connection with the audience. The 2020 season of the Adelaide Symphony Orchestra features 2 Tchaikovsky symphonies. His first symphony, Winter Daydreams, and the Pathétique, the number 6.
I think the ASO, like many other orchestras, knows that they have to play to a different audience, an audience that doesn't necessarily know a lot about classical music, an audience that's in the regions, an audience that likes hearing pop music or just the classical hits, or, of course, young people.
music that's being made right now has been inspired by the work that's been done in the past. If somebody gets introduced to us through Harry Potter, sometimes it's about learning and recognizing where the inspiration for that music may have come from and drawing you to something that you never would have realized you would be interested in before.
In 2020, we're really excited to be able to present for the first time a tribute to that extraordinary band Nirvana. We've got Ben Folds with us yet again, and finally a tribute to the Queen of Soul, Aretha Franklin, which I'm personally really looking forward to.
Ravel's Bolero's become so famous because it showcases the great colours that the orchestra can make. It's a constant melody which also gives your head the chance to focus on all the different combinations of sounds that Ravel uses. To me, it is all about the creation of sound. It's a bit of an out-of-body experience. Nothing else enters my mind. It's a complete and total focus.
I think that the space that we create sometimes is limited to the concert hall. But when we take it outside of that space, when we take it to our communities, that's where you see them connect in a completely different way. We run a number of programs from school-aged children through to later in life, as well as anyone that's coming in on that journey along the way.
The ways we reach out to the community is getting more sophisticated, and really I think through our learning programs, our regional and community engagement, we want to continue to develop that.
We don't expect our audiences to come to us. I think it's wonderful that we go to them sometimes. Next year in Tanunda and Noarlunga, the orchestra will come to you.
Well, I think some people probably feel like classical music is just simply a bunch of dots written down by a composer possibly a very long time ago and then resurrected by a bunch of musicians on the stage, and certainly that's a part of it and we have a big job to do in that, but actually the only way any piece of music ever comes to life is with the contribution of the audience.
It's amazing how the energy, the anticipation, and the audience reception, we can sense it when we walk on the stage. And that trust that we develop with the audience is very important to us. I think when there's a trust that the audience is willing to be more open, more challenged, I think that relationship for us is very unique and important.
In the sort of concerts that I do, I like to create that sort of bond between the audience and the orchestra. And I know that the orchestra love that. They love seeing the audience engaged and responding to what they're doing. There's no point playing a concert if there's no audience.
We're searching for a connection, and to do this we need a place, a meeting place, a space that we can give the music a home and that we can feel like it's home.
Adelaide's been identified as a UNESCO City of Music, and there's such a culture of music making in the city. So having a dedicated space for people to come together in a building that's designed to maximize your listening experience is incredible.
Having our own home for the orchestra here in Adelaide would really allow us the space to welcome this community that we have all across the city, all across the state.
The ASO is an orchestra for everybody, and that it reaches down to all aspects of the community, so that even if they can't come into our space for music, that hopefully they can create their own personal space that the ASO can provide.
I want people to have music in their minds and their bodies. I want them to wake up the next day and it's the first thing that's in their head. That way, you can really guarantee that music is touching somebody's life. What an honor, what an absolute honor to do that for a living. Music is wonderful.